Okay, Tom Bedford. This is, I believe, this is the first British Olympic trial for marathon runners for 40 years. The last time it was staged was before the Moscow Olympics in the glamorous location of Milton Keynes. So
before I was born.
Before you were born, even, and you're organising this event at Kew Gardens as we speak now. It's in just over a week's time, and the races set off pretty early in the morning. We've got race walkers set off at 6 o'clock, just after dawn, and the marathon runners set off about 8 o'clock. It's pretty early, but it's worth people setting their alarm for, surely, isn't it?
Absolutely. Once in, pretty much once in a lifetime. I said this to you before. I think maybe one of the successes of this could be that when events come back and in 4 years' time or 3 years' time it would be London Marathon, who are the rightful owners of this event normally, if they did something on the Saturday before the marathon, similar to their St James's Park loop sort of thing, maybe this could be a brand new thing that we bring to British athletics, where we can really highlight British distance running leading into an Olympic Games as well. So yeah, fingers crossed we could that could be one of the success stories about it. But yeah, a week, just over a week to go, and we're ready to go.
And I think athletics fans were a bit disappointed that the trials for the European Indoor Champs nobody could see them recently, but this is going to be streamed, isn't it? It's going to be...
Yeah, this is going to be streamed, and I've been working with British athletics the whole way through, and I think it was a bit of a logistical nightmare. And I tell you what, with the people are expecting the certain same quality, if that's the right word, that the same execution of everything, when your job and my job and everyone else's job is completely changed. And I can tell you from all the COVID protocols that we're working in for this event with LFT testing, how many people can be indoors. We've just seen what happened with the indoors from point of view in terms of people getting tests. These are serious things that we're putting in serious situations, and we've got 3 indoor venues at Kew Gardens that we're dealing with. So this isn't just an outdoor event. We've got to go through the warm-up area and everything else. So there is some serious health and safety things that we've got to go through, but from a streaming point of view, I'm happy to reveal that we've got something sorted thanks to Müller yogurts, my personal favourite yogurt, and yeah, we're now in a good situation that it is going to be streamed, and we're sort of still fingers crossed hoping that the BBC will also stream it as well. So we're sort of going down to the wire with that, and but the BBC want to make it work, we want to make it work, and everyone watching wants to make it work as well. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to get something over the line, but it will be streamed online, British Athletics website, as a worst case scenario. So we're in a good position.
Superb. And you, as organizer, you must feel like you've run a marathon yourself over the winter period, but you're nearly at the finish line with the whole thing. It's obviously been a super difficult event to put on through the pandemic.
Yeah, and again, just changing the whole time. That's the thing with this COVID. We were, all of us, you can prepare for something and then you've got to rip it up and do something else completely. We were only originally planning to test the athletes and anyone going into indoor settings, and then since the positive reaction, a safety reaction from British Athletics following the indoors, is that everyone coming into Kew Gardens will be LFT tested to make sure that we're part of the solution and not part of the problem. So yeah, we've got loads of things, even coming down to this sort of last minute thing that we are changing. It will be changing right up until the get-go from public health. Everything's looking. I'm very comfortable with that, but you've just got to prepare for all these last minute changes that will come. But yeah, no, we're in a good place, and we're the athletes are in a good place. They've known about this event for a long time now, probably since I last spoke to you when we were talking about the course and everything else. I think the conservative view of hosting it in a venue like a COVID secure venue like Kew Gardens is now paying off. So where we're in control of everything, and we can make these changes very quickly. So we just got to we're just over a week now to kick off. But yeah, it's going to change right up until the last bit.
And you've had your dad helping you out as well a bit. I know.
Absolutely.
He's got a little bit of experience when it comes to these things, hasn't he?
He is. But he uses WhatsApp video a lot. So we've been having very unusual setting calls at all hours of the night. It's been, I think maybe that's the thing that I've probably personally learned in terms of the technical side of it. We've got 35 officials who are here for the race walking event and the marathon. Yeah. So that's a lot of people to go through a process, socially distanced, and to make sure that it's the events of a quality standard. So yeah, my old man's been looking after that very well. So we're in a good place. We're in a very good place, and we couldn't have done it without his help on it as well.
No, I've noticed on social media that you've had quite a few people who've looked around the course in the past few days. One of whom was our long-time photographer, Mark Shearman, who I think, as we're speaking now, just yesterday had a sneak preview to the course and took a few photos.
Yep, we introduced him into our official mascot for the event, Eric the Peacock, who lives in the Japanese garden area of Kew Gardens, because that's where he's fed a lot. But yeah, no, the whole event, British athletics, do need the credit from this, from a lot of people on Twitter and everything else. They've stuck by this event from the word go, where it could have been a lot easier for them to say, right, we're just going to take names and just going to hide under a rock for thingies. So, they should get a lot of credit for this. Müller, the sponsor, should get a lot of credit for this in terms of coming on and backing it financially as well, because without them, we wouldn't have had the live streaming there. So, these are all credits. Steve Cram massively helped us out with trying to get the BBC on board there. We've got Mara and Tim Hutchins working for Chip Beer Money to do the streaming of the event as well. So we've had so many people. I've probably missed quite a few. Wendy Sly Athletics Weekly has been very helpful with this as well. So there's been lots of ex-athletes all working together to sort of have a big input into this. Yeah. Okay, because you need that experience, and we need to get through this weird situation that we're in. So big thanks to them, and without them, we wouldn't have got to the stage where we are now.
It's obviously exciting everybody. It's caught their imagination. It's a standalone trial, a bit like the US Olympic trials that they have, and I think everybody's massively looking forward to it. But as for the nitty gritty, which contenders should we be looking out for? Maybe we can start with the women's race. We've got some really good names who are entered: Charlotte Purdue, Steph Davis, Lily Partridge. How do you think that one's going to unravel?
Well, I'm glad we're starting with the most exciting race of them all. Sorry, guys, but the women's with depth and excitement have got all my attention for this race. And rightly so. There are no pre-selected athletes. It's worth noting for people that are coming into the event. There, 2:29:30 is the Olympic qualifying time. In the women's race, we've got 4 women who have already got that. Steph April. She is sort of not running, and I think she's going to focus on the 10K sort of thing. So we're sort of down to 3 women. Jess Piasecki's not racing. I have no idea whether that's tactical or niggles or anything like that. But she's not racing for whatever reason. So we've got we're down to 2 women who've got the qualifying time. So if them 2 women first go through the line, no questions asked, they're off to Sapporo. But the depth behind them is very special. Steph Davis and Charlotte, as I said, I've got the times there. But Sarah Inglis, who is 11 seconds behind that qualifying time that she ran in the marathon project in December. So again, another short turnaround. But if you're niggle free and you go through a very good patch of 6 months, you only need that 6 months to go to the Olympics sometimes. So she's going to come into that. She's, what she learned from that marathon project experience. It's going to be probably, this event's going to be very similar to that marathon project experience compared to a big marathon majors that others might be used to. Natasha Cockram.
Yeah, I was going to say in the London Marathon back in October, Natasha Cockram and Naomi Mitchell ran
them conditions
well, and they're both entered for the trials as well.
Yeah, in them conditions as well, the women do deserve a bit of luck, I think, this time, because the men were able to take advantage of better conditions, but the women's was a completely different race with the start of the race and the weather conditions that they dealt with. There were athletes leaving in tears from it. So it looks, by the looks of things, Steph Twell's not returning because of that. Hopefully it's not just because of that race that's broken her, and she'll be back to the marathons at some point. But yeah, I mean, one of them athletes also with her was Lily Partridge, who, she ran a great 10K, was it last week? 32:33 probably, I think, her second fastest 10K of her life. So she's in there and obviously performing very well. I'd love to be running them sort of 10K times if I was down to my final weeks of a marathon, where you've got that, just a big loading session as well. You've got just so many women around 30 to 31, Tish Jones, I'm just reading here, Tracy with experience is also there as well with other times and that, but then you've got some debuts as well. Charlotte Arter as well, who sort of works quite nice from her 69:40. So yeah, I'm sort of more excited. I think there's going to be 10 to 12 athletes going to be in that first group. 74:15, I think, is what we've got with the pacemakers at the moment. They're going to be paced by men, which has allowed us to a bit more flexibility with who we can select. But I've tried to pick big guys who can take away any breeze. I'm telling the male pacemakers there that they can't have a haircut. I want as much drag from their bouffant hairs as possible. There's going to be a big first group for that, and they'll go up to 30K, and then we'll have a race.
So it looks like in the women's race we've got a real mix of athletes steeped in experience, like Charlotte Purdue, Lily Partridge, etc. And then we've also got some interesting debutantes as well, like Charlotte Arter, and they're all going to be hanging on to pacemakers who I think you've got male pacemakers, you say.
Yeah, we've got male pacemakers for the event, and because of COVID, we've tried to source as many local pacemakers as possible. Which in Southwest London, around St Mary's College, and that we've got a lot of resource around here, sort of thing. We've got male pacemakers, so we can guarantee that they can get through to 30K, maybe even more. So we've got that. We've got two in that first group, and I still think we'll have probably about 12 women in that first group. The depth of it is going to be quite amazing to watch. I've tried to choose pacemakers who've not had a haircut, so there's as much drag created from that as possible. So any debut athletes just need to sit on the train, as I keep calling it, and have a nice little tour of Kew Gardens as they go around. It
was like a nice way to spend a Friday morning. A little bit painful, but quite picturesque at the same time, and obviously a big prize at the end of it if you manage to get through. So you say the women's race is like the plum race. That's the one that you're really, really looking forward to. It's got a really strong feel. But the men's race is super interesting as well. There we've got Callum Hawkins, who's been pre-selected, but there's still a couple of spots in the team that are up for grabs. And we've had the interest in recent days of hearing that Johnny Mellor's out, who was the quickest. He was the quickest guy in 2020. So I guess he's got to rely on his performances from then to get him into the team. But if we get two guys at Kew Gardens who break the qualifying mark and finish in the top two, then they're just going to automatically get selected. So we're going to have that drama playing out as the race goes on.
Yeah, 2:11, 2:11:30 is what we've got to go for. There's a slight lack of depth compared to the women's, but and even what I love about these Olympic trials, which I've seen many in the States, is that we can, it comes down to this. We tell a story, and then people can follow the story going into Japan in the summer. Johnny Mellor sadly out with a freak gout accident from compression bands, which is just so unlucky from that point of view. So Ben Connor, I've heard Ben Connor's flying, who's already got that other qualifying time. So if he comes top two, no questions asked, he's off. So does he want it to be a fast race, or does he want to sort of attack the last bit and have it in the legs? Dewey Griffith, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were discussing about how much, because we don't have any other half marathons to really judge what form these athletes are going on. Some people are looking at how many Instagram posts these athletes are putting up, and the more Instagram posts, the more confident they come across. So Dewey's been doing that apparently, so which has been quite interesting. I
think he ran a 10K the other day as well in Newport on the track. He didn't seem to run amazingly well, but being 3 or 4 weeks before the marathon trials, he was probably in his last week or two of really heavy training, so you wouldn't particularly expect someone to run well.
You compare that to, if you wanted to have another conversation with comparing that to what Lily did, what did they rest up? It might have been Dewey's biggest mileage week. If when I was doing my marathons and sort of nowhere near some of the, what these guys were doing, but you wouldn't really be resting during that period. That all comes down into the taper, so you just have no idea from that point of view. I think he just wanted to tick over as a bit more of a tempo race, and just to do something different probably. But yeah, you've got Chris Thompson, who I see in Bushy Park out of my flat quite regularly.
Fan favourite, surely the people's champion.
Well, it's his home course. The amount of times he's won the Richmond Run Fest, the Kew Gardens 10K in the past, and the Richmond Marathon, it's his home course. He is the current king of Richmond, as we sort of pronounce our winners of the event. So he's been there, done that. Does he have home advantage of leaning into some of these bends? He knows the toilets that he can access more than others. Will that come into play for the event? But in all seriousness, you've got Chris, you've got Tomo, who he's a danger. If he can pull a certain amount of training together, he's a danger for these times. So that's going to be quite exciting.
Age is not on his side, but he's always been a super talent, isn't he? And if his training's gone well in the past few weeks, then you can't really rule them out. So
age is not on his side, but the shoes are. So it's added a bit of a breath of fresh air for it. You've got some cool, Matt Clowes. You've got a few 2:13 guys, but then you've got a couple of Tommy Evans, Moaden, who's been he's been in Kenya. I found out, I think the other day. He's been in Kenya for 4 months. So is he one of the very few athletes that's actually been able to do altitude training?
Yeah.
Well, that factor, Josh Griffiths.
He's a debut athlete as well, isn't he?
Sorry?
I think he's a debutant as well, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But, what a great, 62 and a half PB for a marathon. And again, our pacemakers, we're not going out for a faster race like London Marathon would. We've got our pacemakers going for in 65. Callum Hawkins is going to be technically in the race, but he's going to be a pacemaker, hopefully going to 30K. Jake Smith's going through to 25K. Sorry?
Callum's actually pacing.
He's actually pacemaking. We haven't sort of announced that yet, so you've got a bit of exclusivity on that. But yeah, Callum's going to be pacemaking. Jake Smith, who ran a ridiculous time in Poland, at the world half is going to be going to 25k. Callum's going to go to 30k, hopefully, as part of his training as well, leading up to it. So we've got, we're going to have some decent pacemakers, domestic pacemakers, because we weren't able to get some pacemakers to come in from outside the country. So that's been an added thing of all the things that we've been doing. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just leading up nicely to, again, I think my job for the male and women is to get as many people to 30k as possible. Yeah. In that front group, and I think the pacemakers, if they do their job now, will do that, and then it'll be interesting. Will Tomo and Dewey start having a team talks? Will they lead a lap each? Okay, from 30k, there'll be 3 laps to go from that point of view. Will they do a couple of laps each, and then go from there? I don't know. There's quite a bit of tactical. Yeah. I'd hate to be Johnny Mellor watching this live and having no input into it at all. Yeah. But my job is to get as many people to that 30k as possible.
Nice morning, is he? It's going to be quite a frustrating watch for him, I think.
Yeah. It's this is sport, right? This is elite sport, and this is what this trial event will produce.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about the logistics, or do all the marathon runners set off together? Are they all off together? So you must have worked out the likelihood of athletes being lapped, for instance, and stuff like that. But it's a pretty big lap, isn't it?
Yeah. So the main large lap, so they'll do like a 1 mile, a small lap, and then there's and then essentially they've got 2 mile laps to do, where they'll do 12 of them. These laps are 3,333 meters in distance. People will notice, which we will get no credit on, but being a bit of a geek, and any other event directors out there will appreciate that we've only got 2 timing mats on the course. We've got a 5k timing mat and a 10k timing mat. So Hugh Jones, we've got the measurement down pretty much bang on, that for every lap and a half, it's 5k. So we've only got 2 mats out there. So the 5k mat were 5, 15, 25, 35k. And then the other mat on the other side by the pagoda is 10, 20, 30, 40. So yeah, we put a lot of time, me and my old man and Hugh Jones, into it. From that, the athletes will start off as one, masks on to the line, and then we'll gather as normal for that last bit. It's outdoors, so we're in a sort of a better position from viral loads, and then the race will go off. The men will be overtaking some of the women, depending on how slow that last woman is, from about 25k. Some of the women, if they're going to finish, might be overtaken twice. It's so that's going to add some challenges and technical challenges from that point of view. The men won't be lapped, as in the last back marker on that men's race sort of thing. But yeah, no, it's we've got quite a few logistics point of view from that, which will add to its uniqueness. This will never be in this situation again. I've mentioned it to you previously. The course is almost like if you imagine the road relays, what a road relays course would be. Not the hills; it's flat as a pancake, but smaller paths. So it'll really have that road relays sort of feel as the laps build up as we come into the finish.
Yeah. Now the start of the races are quite early, but you want cool conditions, don't you? Surely, I think when Eliud Kipchoge ran his sub 2 hour marathon, they set off at, I think it was 7:45 or something, because at that time of year the temperature can start to rise as the morning goes on. So it's actually good for the athletes, isn't it, to get them going sooner? Yeah.
Every time, so I've been now at Q, in every single weather situation recently. And as I said, I think the worst thing we're looking for is if there's a northerly wind. I personally think that would be the worst wind that we can have. So anything over maybe 12 miles an hour and a northerly wind, I think that's the worst conditions the athletes can have. You could argue with a bit of rain as well, but I'm not going to be so fussed too much about that. Maybe on corners that might come into play, but anything else, I think every time I'm going to Kew, we're in spring now, so all the tree buds and the leaves are now growing up, doing their part to pacemake and shelter the athletes as they go through. But I sort of mentioned that northerly wind because there's the course that we've sort of revealed today, and I've got a video on our fast loop video on Richmond Run Fest social media channels. There's a 1.4k practically straight line. So if they have that as the fastest part of the course, obviously, so it would be very unlucky if that's a northernly facing stretch. So it would be very unlucky that if for that stretch we've got that northerly wind coming down for it to hit. But again, let's focus on the things that we can focus on, and from a weather point of view. But yeah, any other wind or weather type, we'll be in a very good position.
The race walkers are first off at 6 a.m, so they'll probably be having their breakfast at about 4 or so, I guess.
The poor race.
Who do we need to be looking out for in the race walks events?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've enjoyed all the race walkers that I've dealt with. They've been a joy to work with. Really, really nice from the coaches to all the athletes who have been supporting the event and everything else. They're really grateful that this event's happening for it. Everyone knows Tom Bosworth. I haven't met him myself, but he's been he seems a very big character in the sport. Mccallum Wilkinson seems to be. I think he did he do the 10k record? I think
yeah. I mean, so. To put things in perspective, he did a 10k on the track in, I think it was 39:05. So if you're a park runner who tries to break 20 minutes, then that's basically he's race walked much faster than that pace for 2 5Ks on the trot. So he's these guys can shift. They're pretty good athletes.
Yeah, so I think they're the two main ones in that field. I know I saw on Instagram that Tom's been having a bit of injury problems as well. But again, the whole thing of this trial is to go to Sapporo for it, sort of thing. And the key thing about this British trial is actually taking place is that it's a national. So the race walk is a national championship, a British championship, sorry. So it carries extra bonus points for qualification. The marathon races are slightly different. It's just an Olympic trial event for that. So yeah, this is all about qualifying, and it would be a joy to be part of that and to get them going there. The women's race. Just two athletes that I sort of know. I haven't got the greatest depth of knowledge, but Heather Lewis and Bethan Davies, in that field as well. So again, I think it's going to be, quite an interesting race. But it's but the poor guys have to get up at 6 o'clock. We're putting all this extra lighting in specifically for them, so they'll have some welcoming lights for when they arrive. Nothing like London Marathon. Don't get excited. It'll be my old man with a torchlight flashing it on and off, probably, compared to what London did in October. But yeah, we're just so grateful that we can get the event on, and again, I hope the weather holds up for them as well.
It's all about hitting those qualifying times, isn't it? Somebody reminded me recently that even Mo Farah needs a qualifying time for the Olympics if he wants to run the 10,000 meters. He can't just say, I'd like to do it, and then get picked. He's got to do a qualifying time somewhere. And it's the same for the race walkers and the marathon runners. They've all got to hit those standards. So that's going to be a big thing about the day. Absolutely.
I actually saw Mo. So my flat here overlooks Bushy Park, and I saw Mo's obviously back, and I've seen him and that. So I'm waiting for this last minute entry into the marathon race that I don't know about, and it's kept on the QT for it. But he can come and pacemake if he wants. No problems about that. I can't pay him, but he can come and pacemake for that. But yeah, no, it's all about qualifying. The fact that we've got here from November and this roller coaster that we've been through the whole way. We're just over a week to go now, and just looking forward to I think we've done our bit. British Athletics, Müller and Richmond Run Fest. We've our team, the team of Bedfords that we've got 3 Bedfords organising this race. My old man and my wife, sort of thing. So it's been a lot of effort, a lot of hard work to go there. So I sort of just look forward to the weather being decent, and the athletes, they've had the toughest preparation. So I just can't wait for them to have an opportunity to explode onto the course.
and Kew Gardens is going to be in full bloom. It's going to be massively picturesque by the sounds of it. But I heard a bit of a funny story about something to do with the presentations afterwards. Maybe you can fill us in.
This looks all set up. I did mention it before we come in, but I've actually got them in front of me. So let me just let me give you a world exclusive. Okay, we wanted to add, we haven't been able to do a big prize purse for it because we haven't had the sponsors in for the race, but we thought we'd have a nice little touch. Our presentations would be these bonsai trees, which I thought was really nice and sentimental and maybe, but completely unpractical. We're not allowed to bring in any flowers or plants into Kew Gardens because there's a COVID fungal issues that they've got with all the precious plants that they've got there. So I sort of assumed that there would be no issue, but there is an issue. So they haven't got their COVID passport and can't pass an LFT, so they can't come in. So what we've actually had to order some plastic ones for the photographs with the athletes, and then they'll get like a party goodie bag, carrier bag on their way out with the actual award because they can't come into Kew Gardens. So yeah, no, the Kew Gardens is just such a beautiful event. The course is fast, it's flat, and Kew Gardens have worked there very hard to get this event on as well, sort of thing. So, but the precious environment that we're in has various knock-on effects on top of COVID.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, we're very much looking forward to it, and it's going to be a great day. And I'm sure everyone will be tuning in from the crack of dawn on Friday. At least a lot of people won't be in work in offices and stuff. A lot of people are working from home now, so they can put it on and enjoy their breakfast over the Olympics.
Correct. And any athlete fans, schedule it into your diaries now so you don't forget. Put your alarm clock on for 6 o'clock. And then if you sleep in 8 o'clock for the marathon starts. Share it. The sport needs this to be done as well. So when you see it on Athletics Weekly social media channels, once we've got the information out there, share it. Get as many people watching this in because people want to know it's happening, and we want as many people to be watching it. And hopefully, this is the starting gun for the Tokyo Olympics. So we can all get excited about that. So I can't wait for you all to join us in a week's time.